In the early 1800s, the most powerful pirate in human history was operating out of the South China Sea. She commanded more armed ships than most of the world's navies combined. She defeated the Chinese imperial fleet, the Portuguese Empire, and the British East India Company, all at the same time. Her name was Zheng Yi Sao, known in the West as Qing Shi, and almost nobody knows who she is. This is her story. She was born around 1775 in Guangdong, a coastal province in southern China, right on the edge of the South China Sea. Her family were likely Tanka, boat people who lived their entire lives on the water. Their boats were their homes. As a young woman, she ended up working in Canton Harbour, on what the Chinese called a flower boat, a floating brothel. In 1801, a powerful pirate lord named Zheng Yi arrived. He came from a long line of pirates. He wanted a wife. She agreed to marry him, but she had conditions: an equal share of everything he owned, and an equal seat at every decision he made. He agreed, and so Shi Yang became Zheng Yi Sao, meaning, simply, wife of Zheng Yi. Together, they set about building something that had never existed in the South China Sea before: a unified pirate confederation. 6 fleets, 6 commanders, 6 different flag colors: red, black, blue, white, yellow, and purple. The biggest and most feared was the Red Flag Fleet, their fleet, eventually growing to 200 or 300 ships. Within a few years, the Confederation dominated vast stretches of the South China Sea. Fishing villages paid regular tribute just to be left alone. Then, on November 16, 1807, Zheng Yi fell overboard during a typhoon. He drowned. She was 32 years old. She had no official title, and there were 40,000 pirates wondering what would happen next. She acted immediately. She secured the loyalty of Zheng Yi's most trusted lieutenant, a formidable commander named Zhang Bao. A Qing government official later noted that Zhang Bao, the enforcer, consulted her on all things before acting. She was in command, officially, of the entire Confederation. The scale of what she now commanded is difficult to comprehend. Historians estimate around 400 war junks, between 40 and 70,000 pirates under her command. At the same time, Blackbeard, history's most famous pirate, had 4 ships and roughly 400 men. No pirate, anywhere in history, ever commanded forces on this scale. But this wasn't just brute force. She ran the Confederation with a formal legal code. The code was a set of written laws, strict, detailed, and enforced without exception. Disobeying a commander's order, death. Stealing from the communal treasury, death. Harming a captive, death. The plunder was divided by written contract. 2/10 to the pirate who seized it. 8/10 to the communal fund. Captive women were protected under the code. The pregnant and the frail were to be freed. Any pirate who wanted to marry a captive had to get her consent first. Written laws, structured courts, organized finance. This put her confederation in a completely different category from any other pirate operation in history. By 1808, the Red Flag Fleet had consolidated control over the Pearl River Delta. Merchant ships didn't cross those waters without paying. The Qing dynasty had seen enough. In 1808, they dispatched a fleet of 35 warships with orders to end the Confederation once and for all. Near Mazhou Island, the 2 fleets met. The Red Flag Fleet knew these waters. The Qing ships did not. The Qing fleet was obliterated. Every single ship, captured or sunk. The government sent more ships. She sank those too. By the end of 1808, the Qing provincial fleet had been cut in half. This was an enormous embarrassment for the Qing emperor. The most powerful dynasty in Asia could not stop a fleet run by a woman from a floating brothel. Desperate, the Qing called for outside help. The Portuguese, who controlled the nearby port of Macau, agreed to send warships. On November 29, 1809, the Portuguese flotilla engaged the Red Flag Fleet in open water. The battle lasted 9 hours. The Portuguese turned around and sailed back to Macau. Then the British East India Company, arguably the most powerful trading organization in the world at the time, sent their ships. She defeated them too. 3 navies, 3 defeats. By late 1809, she controlled the South China Sea more completely than any force before or since. But the 3 empires had had enough. In January 1810, they combined their remaining forces into one joint blockade. 93 ships. At Tung Chung Bay, blocking every exit. They sent in fireships, old boats packed with burning tar, set alight, and aimed at the red flag fleet. The pirates used small rowboats to grab lines and steer the fireships away before they could hit anything. For days neither side could move. She was stuck. Then, on January 29, 1810, the wind shifted. She gave the order. The entire red flag fleet surged forward, straight through the blockade line. They broke through, into open water. Free. She had won again. But she was thinking clearly about what came next. The coalitions would keep coming. More ships would be built. The mathematics of holding out forever simply didn't work. So she did something almost no pirate lord in history had ever managed to do. She negotiated. On her own terms. Her terms were not what anyone expected. A full pardon for all her pirates. The right for her men to keep their weapons. Government positions for her officers. The Qing government agreed. They had been fighting her for 3 years and had very little to show for it. On April 20th, 1810, the formal surrender was signed. Over 17,000 pirates surrendered, 226 ships, 1,300 cannon. And Zheng Yi Sao walked away from it all, free, pardoned, and still wealthy. Zhang Bao, her lieutenant, was given a commission in the Qing Navy. The man who had terrorized the South China Sea became one of its official defenders. She settled in Canton and opened a gambling house. A very successful one. She remarried, lived comfortably, and grew old. She died on May 7, 1844, at approximately 69 years old. Not in battle, not hanged, not drowned. She died peacefully, in her own home, in bed. Now let's put this in perspective. Edward Teach, Blackbeard, is the most famous pirate in Western history. At his peak, Blackbeard had 4 ships and around 400 men. Zheng Yi Sao commanded 400 ships and up to 70,000 people. 100 times the ships, over 150 times the crew. By any objective measure, the most powerful pirate who ever lived. She fought the Qing dynasty, the Portuguese Empire, and the British East India Company. She was never defeated in battle. She didn't end up dead or in chains like almost every other pirate lord in history. She chose when to stop. What made her remarkable wasn't just the scale. It was that she built a functioning organization with laws, courts, finance, and a chain of command that actually worked. She started as a young woman with nothing, in one of the lowest status jobs in China. She ended up commanding the largest private armed force the world had ever seen. And she chose exactly when to stop. Rich, free, and undefeated. Zheng Yi Sao, the pirate queen of the South China Sea.